All week long, we're talking about CTE and how concussions impact athletes. This time, we're focusing on the class action lawsuit against the NFL. And we would like to welcome Andre Reed, a retired NFL player who has firsthand experience with head injuries, and Cezanne Oygar, a civil trial attorney who's handled many class action lawsuits. Welcome both to Primetime.
Glad to be here, Taylor.
Thank you. You're not usually this small, by the way.
What? What's up? I mean,
look at the monitor. He looks like he's a tall guy, but the seat is lower, just so you know.
We're on a grading deep.
I don't want to be higher than you because you're the star of the show.
Oh,
so.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are involved in the class action suit, the lawsuit.
Well, my name's there. It hasn't really gotten out per se, but I'm definitely involved in it, yeah.
And Junior Seau was one of your really good friends, as I know. And I know how that impacted your life.
Yeah.
And I know that, tell the viewers how you were having symptoms of CTE way even before that.
Well, as we said, I was on the show months and months ago, and I said that I took, pretty many hits, pretty many documented concussions, a lot of undocumented ones. What the thing about this is people don't realize that the long-term effects of this, not only on the field, but as you grow older, or not because you grow older, but there's definitely a correlation between getting hit day in and day out to the things that happen to you as you get older.
Do you have any headaches? We had Gary Plummer on here. He said he had headaches every day. Do you have memory loss? What are some of your symptoms?
I think the main thing that I have probably is memory loss, because some things I say to my kids, and they'll say, "Dad, you told me that about 10 minutes ago," and they'll say something to me, and I told you that 15 minutes ago, and I don't recall sometimes, and I think that has a lot to do with some things, but I'm not as well crazy or with the CTE and all that kind of stuff as other guys are.
Yeah, but you're still a part of it because it is a worthy cause, and you're backing up your players. Now, Cezanne, tell us about this class action suit. I love it. You're super tall. Your seat's up high.
What's up, guys?
Whatever. So, what chances do the NFL have to win this class action suit? Because football is a full contact sport, right?
Right.
Players know that going into it. There's not a lot of longevity for players. They get hurt. They sign up for that, and they make millions for it. So, what's going to be their argument? I could see that being one of them, but what others do they have?
I think one big argument is the assumption of the risk, kind of what you're talking about. Everybody knows when you go play football that there are risks to head injuries. But where we're at right now in this litigation, it's a consolidation of approximately 4,000 or 220 cases. There's 4,200 plaintiffs involved, and we're still really in the initial phases. There was a motion to dismiss which was filed, and oral arguments were just heard. The judge in Philadelphia, it's a district court, she's taken the motion under consideration to really evaluate it. It's not very clear cut. So what we're having right now is there's a collective bargaining agreement within the players, NFL, and the actual teams. And this has been going on, for many, many, many years. There is a gap in between 1987 and 1993 where there wasn't a collective bargaining agreement. Right. But what the NFL is saying is, listen, if players have, issues with, their complaints is that the NFL intentionally kept from the players this evidence that there is traumatic brain disorder that's related to concussions, and I'll kind of go through that and we can take a look at our little brain here to make this a little more clear. But they're saying that based off of this collective bargaining agreement, the causes of action are actually preempted, and the correct place for the relief is really in arbitration outside the civil system. The players, on the other hand, and I think they do have kind of a great argument, is the causes of action, you're looking at the fraud causes of action and these negligent causes of action, they're actually outside of the collective bargaining agreement, because you look at those provisions, it's latent in terms of brain injury. The collective bargaining agreements don't actually say that. So what the judge is really looking at is interpretation of that, and it's got to be pretty clear.
Wow. Okay, we're going to pull up some images of brains, a healthy brain and a brain that has CTE. And the great thing now is, just not too long ago, players had to die, and their brains had to be autopsied to find this out. Now they can do it when they're like, you see the normal brain on the left, and on the right you have the football player brain. That doesn't look very healthy.
Nope.
No, very sad. So, in this class action suit, do you think they're going to make, in order for players to win any money, will they make them be tested and have brain scans? And I know that there's this new way of being able to inject a dye to pick up tau protein so they can see if they have CTE. Do you think they'll have to prove that they're actually suffering from CTE? Because not all players do. They say there's a genetic connection as well.
Right, and that's where this class action gets a little dicey, because it's not cut and dry. You have different types of players. You have punters, kickers who haven't exactly had the same type of impact that linemen are going to have. You have players who actually never spent time in an actual game who are actual plaintiffs. So
and we're going to talk to this guy how many hits he took, if he can remember, and you know what it was like for him. So we're going to take a break. Hey, and we're back with Andre Reed, who played for the Buffalo Bills, such an icon, retired football player and star. And Sasan Oyar, she's a civil, you're a litigation attorney as well.
Yep.
Civil law attorney. Yep. Both very experienced in the whole subject matter of CTE and this big class action lawsuit with the NFL. Andre is involved, and you've done much research on what the chances of the football players getting money, winning this case. And, like you said, there's some parts that's very ambiguous. So, but we want to talk to you, Andre, about playing. What was it like for you? Your position? How many hits did you take? Were you able to go back and play? Even when you had a concussion, how easy is it for you to convince the coaches that you're okay, even when you're not?
Yeah, well, back in the 1950s when I played, no, I'm just playing. I mean, if you got a concussion and you came out and you were a little woozy, you went to the sideline and they looked at you and they went like this with your eyes. Can you follow this? And if you did this, go ahead, go back in.
That's how it was.
Yes,
so
that's how easy.
That's a lot of evidence.
That's how easy it was.
That's heavy.
Are you all right to go back in? And as a player,
smoking gun.
That's what I'm saying. As a player, you're so hyped and you want to play that you're not going to say no, I'm not going to play. You're going to go back in there
because you're getting paid.
Yeah,
you're a warrior.
Right.
Yeah, but now there's so many different things they do on the sideline to even put you back in there.
Right, they're having independent medical examiners come in on the
They
sideline.
got to do a lot of people that have different doctors on the sideline now that they just don't do this anymore. So they do a lot of different tests to put you back out there.
How many hits do you think you would get in a single game?
Couple thousand. Well, 1,000.
1,000.
Pretty much.
And how many years did you play? Because you played many
16 years.
That's talk about longevity.
Yeah.
That's a rarity, though.
And to say on her, we're not this class action suit against the NFL and Rydell, who's the helmet maker. It isn't about the players getting money. I just want to make that issue clear. There is an underlying factor in what's going on here. The effects of what this trauma has done, the injuries, the neurological injuries later down in life. You look at all these players that have lost their lives and have, taken their lives. There is a direct correlation to things. So it isn't about us getting money from the NFL. It's just getting a point across saying the NFL is liable for this. And as players now that are playing, we're going to make it better for them when they're done playing, because when they're done, they're going to have this same problem. There's players, because guys are faster, they're hitting harder. It's crazy out there.
Yeah,
so
but
they're
they
go
have
through
the option. They're not saving lives. It's a sport. They can
You're
choose
right.
not to make millions of dollars
You're right.
and be
You're
famous.
right, Taylor. And that's where it gets dicey. Like you said, is we chose to do this. This is a profession. But, you look at other sports, and we're doing this for other sports too. Other sports that trauma at the head.
There's a lot of sports.
Not only football, and then all the way down from the top of the level, the pros, all the way down to the little kids now. Because parents now are taking their kids out of football. They're taking their kids out of lacrosse because of the head
There's been
stuff
a
going
15
on.
to 20% decline in United States children
Which
playing
maybe
football.
put them
But
in
it's not
trouble
even
with other
just
things.
hitting head. You could get a concussion
anything.
by whiplash, and
Exactly.
so this can happen in various sports,
Exactly.
but predominantly football.
Because NFL players and professional athletes are always up on a high pedestal. This happens all the time. But the player, the NFL player, not basketball. Well, basketball might get it too, but soccer and ice hockey and all that kind of stuff. because we're high-profile people.
Yeah. So you said it's not about the money. So you think these football players are going to donate that money to charity? I don't think so. Maybe some.
Well,
the ones
I
that
can't
are really.
speak, I can't speak for somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, my whole thing is the awareness, the concern for people that are going to be behind me.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
Again, these football players have a choice
Yeah.
to not play football.
Yeah, of course
They do, and I think that's
What-
kind of that's one good point. Is it really is about the future too? It's not looking at necessarily the class right here. It really is an education. I think that's going to be a huge push. And what we're learning, we learned in California. Even we just had legislation that was enacted to the education code, where coaches, actually high school coaches, have to take training to learn the signs and the symptoms of concussions. This is something that's at the forefront that we really do need to pay attention to. There's, I would tell, I'm not a parent, but I would tell parents there's apps that you can get on your iPhone to take a look at concussion tests, and it'll kind of give you the signs and the symptoms, questions to ask, and things to do. That we really need to protect our kids, and it's not just football players. American Association of Neurosurgical Surgeons. Cyclists are actually the #1, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Or gymnastics.
Yeah,
Gymnasts.
the cyclists, football, and then following that with softball and baseball players. All these type of people, and boxers.
People keep talking about the signs of concussion, not going back to play too soon. Well, guess what? If you got a concussion, scarring in the brain. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have a concussion. So.
Yeah.
And he brought up an interesting point. Within the class action lawsuit, it's there's allegations against Riddell, which is one of the helmet manufacturers. I tend to think that that's a little bit of a red herring because a concussion, what is a concussion? It's a brain injury that is clinically presented usually by a loss of consciousness. It's not necessarily, the helmet hitting the
It's the brain
ground.
hitting the skull. It's not
Precisely.
What happens is,
Okay.
again, your brain inside the helmet too. It moves around.
Well, and we have to wrap. We could go on all. We're going
Okay.
to make this an hour-long show. We have so much to say about